Hello, everybody. This episode of the Lewis Sabin video podcast is being brought to you on my floor, next to my dog. We'll get into that in a second. As always, we are brought to you as a huge thanks to Joe Rogan and the JRE, the Joe Rogan Experience podcast. Without him, I would have never thought about doing this. Thank you very much, Joe. He's a very funny man, great guy. His podcast is amazing. Please listen to him. He's on iTunes and Ustream. Also, you can watch him on YouTube, I found out. We are also brought to you by huge thanks to Science, as always. Today, as you can see, I'm drinking blue pomegranate. It's the only energy drink I drink. No crash, no jitters, sugar-free, and 0 calories. It is, with every other energy drink you drink, or at least in my experience, they all have a really bad aftertaste. It is like crap. These do not. These are fruity. They're delicious. And as I said, there's no crash. There's no jitters. You don't, start shaking because, oh my God, I'm being overloaded with caffeine. It's natural energy. Please drink it. I am not sponsored by either of these companies. And today, we're going to be covering some of the MLB trades. I'm not going to be able to cover all of them because otherwise I'd be sitting here for like an hour and a half. We're going to be covering the David Price deal from the Tigers, NCAA preseason football rankings, and the first game of the 2015 preseason of the NFL. Let's crack this baby open. Okay, to explain what I'm doing. Why am I on the ground? Well, recently, my buddy here and I had a little bit of a health scare. We thought we'd have to put my buddy Bernie here down. Fortunately, we found an alternative, and that's not going to happen. And I realized I've never shown him on my podcast, so I figured, what the hell? And so here we are. Since I can't get him up on furniture because his legs aren't working so well, and because he's not allowed on most of it, and I didn't want to shoot this outside, which is the only furniture he can lay on, I decided I'd come to him and lay on the ground. This is not uncommon. I do this a lot. I just normally don't shoot it on video. As I said, we're going to be covering some things. One of the big things I want to cover is actually a movie. I know I said I wasn't going to be necessarily covering this, although I think it's kind of interesting. Here's my camera a little bit. So a movie came out. I actually don't know when it came out. It was this past year, obviously, but I mean as to what date. It's called Maggie. It's a movie with Abigail Breslin and Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's about, I believe it has to do something like a zombie apocalypse or something like that, where his daughter is infected, and it's him trying to figure out what he should do and whether or not he can find a cure. It looked very interesting. I didn't get a chance to see it, although if anyone has seen it, please give me what you thought. I'm very interested in it. I don't like to buy movies before I've seen them, or before I have an idea of what it is, if it's any good. I'll probably check Rotten Tomato right after I get off this, because I am interested in buying it. But like I said, if anybody has any input as to, whether or not you saw it, if it was any good, that'd be a huge help. Okay, like I said, I'm going to cover the MLB trades. Let me see if my camera's still on. This thing's kind of strange. Oh, good, we are still on. Sorry, I upgraded to Windows 10, and since I've done that, I don't know what all this does. So now I gotta move you over so I can read. Actually, you know what? I'm just gonna minimize it. I'm gonna do what I did a second ago. And pray to God it still works. Alright, so the trade deadline was, of course, I believe the 31st of July. Several trades have happened since then. What I mean by several was a shitload. And, I'm going to cover some of the ones I thought were most interesting. Of course, that means I will be covering Detroit. That does not mean that I am biased towards Detroit. Baseball, I don't care. I'll watch baseball. Of course, I lean Detroit because I'm from here, but other than that, you get the point. So, Detroit traded Yoenis Cespedes to the New York Mets for right-handed pitcher Michael Fulmer, Luis Cissea, optioned left-handed pitcher Matt Boyd to Toledo, and transferred Kyle Lobstein, left-handed pitcher, to a 60-day disabled list. So we got a couple pitchers, which is great. We also got, what's his name? Jacoby Jones, I think is what he said his name was, something like that. He's a shortstop and an outfielder, which is huge for us because we could use one more guy in the outfield, especially since we lost Cespedes. Word is that Cespedes doesn't want to play for the Mets. He wants to play for Detroit. So, if what I heard is correct, Cespedes will not be with the Mets for long. He will come back to Detroit and play for us next year. That's what I've heard, anyway. Other trades. John Singleton was optioned to Fresno. That's not a big deal. Here we go. Mark Resnepsky traded from the Cincinnati Reds to San Diego for outfielder Abraham Almonte and optioned Almonte to Columbus. They signed a few players to other places. I don't know if that's a big deal or not. Like I said, I don't watch a lot of baseball. So I thought that was interesting, though. Let me scroll. Screw it. You know what? If you guys want to check this out, all the trades for the entire years on ESPN. Like I said, I don't watch a lot of baseball, so I don't know what the big ones were. Now that I noticed that I'm reading from every little transaction, I thought it was all the trades. I was wrong. It's actually all the transactions that took place. So, all right, I covered Cespedes. I'll just cover Price. I apologize. So David Price has been traded. He got traded from Detroit to crap. Now I got to read this. He got traded to the Blue Jays, I think. I could be wrong. Ow. This floor is not that comfortable. Yeah, it's not going to tell me. Hang on. I got to do this. Anyway, we got a pitcher and 2 prospect pitchers, I believe. The first prospect pitcher we got, this floor is really uncomfortable, pitched on Monday. Yeah, Monday. And he did a standout job. He did great. Kudos to you, kid. I can't think of his name right now. Yeah, we traded him to Tampa Bay. My apologies. Or no, that's when he was traded to Detroit. This is what I hate about the web. We give you all of the suggestions of David Price, not just the ones as when we got him. Anyway, fuck it. This podcast is screwed. So I'll just go to what I do know about, and that's college football. I should have known not to cover anything in baseball. Sorry. All right. College football, today, USA Today coaching poll. What, Vern? You gotta touch me too. The dog is holding on to my elbow. You gotta touch too. What buddy doing? Of course, in first place is Ohio State. Second place, TCU. Third place, Alabama. Fourth place, Baylor. Fifth place, Oregon. Sixth place, Michigan State. Seventh is Auburn. 8th is Florida State. 9 is Georgia. 10 is University of Southern Cal. 11th is the University of Notre Dame. 12th is Clemson. 13th is LSU. Scrolling. There we are. 14th is UCLA. 15th is Ole Miss. 16th is Arizona State. 17th is Georgia Tech. 18th is Wisconsin. 19th is Oklahoma. 20th is Arkansas. 21st, Stanford. 22nd, Arizona. 23rd, Missouri. 24th, Boise State. And rounding out the top 25 in 25th is Tennessee. So, of course, Ohio State's number 1. I have them winning the national championship again this year. Other than that, any teams that I think will make it, there's a couple teams I think that could make a jump, and there's a couple that I think will actually suffer. One of those teams I think will suffer is Wisconsin. They were huge on the run, and you lost your big running back in Melvin Gordon. I almost said Todd Gurley. That's not correct. That's from Georgia. So I think that the team may suffer a little bit. I'm sure they have a different running back in place of him that's probably All right, so I don't know a lot about Wisconsin. I'll go ahead and say this. They have a strong quarterback who can do the option, has a decent arm. He's 6'6", backed up by Joel Stavi, and you have a couple of decent receivers. I think they'll probably end up remaining in the top 25, but I think they will fall a couple spots due to the lack of offensive production. UCLA 14th. You know what? I'm going to move real quick. There we go. Sorry. Who am I talking about? UCLA. UCLA lost their quarterback in Brett Hundley. So I have questions about who their backup is, mostly because I don't know who that is. That's one of those teams that's always at the top, it would seem, or normally within the top 15. I think they'll have a decent year. Ole Miss should bounce back just fine. Arizona State is on the rise. They'll probably end up in the top 10, I'd say, probably by the end of the year. Notre Dame. So Notre Dame sits currently 11th. I know I talk a lot about Notre Dame. It's because I'm a huge Notre Dame fan. Sorry. They currently are... So this is a debate I've actually had with a couple people. I'm unsure... Man, this sucks. This position sucks. I should have done this at the table instead. Notre Dame is unclear whether or not they are in a conference. Last I heard, they were in the ACC, and then I was told by somebody that they're still a 1A independent. They just play the ACC schedule. So I'm still on the fence as to even whether or not we're in a conference. If we're not in a conference, then it's going to make it very difficult for us to get to the playoffs, which is strange to say, because normally I had to correct myself whenever I said playoffs because it's bowls. Incorrect now it's a playoff. I think we'll have a strong year as long as we don't have so many freaking injuries this year. Why am I correcting myself? Fucking injuries. Why am I having so many fucking injuries this year? Georgia, number 9. Georgia, again, one of those teams that's always at the top. Florida State, I think, is going to fall off because you have Everett Golston starting, and he's very, very, very turnover prone. I would know, since he played for the team that I'm in love with. Auburn, always near the top. I'm sure they'll have a strong run game, decent pass. Michigan State at 6th. You lost Langford. Now, I don't know, like I said, who's backing him up. You lost one of your big receivers and corner. He actually is playing corner in the NFL. What, bud? What you see? What you see? Nothing? Okay. Sorry. You lost your corner. You lost a safety. Your defense is going to be hurting a little bit, but I don't think they're going to remain in the top 10. I think they'll probably by the end of the year be in the top 25, but they'll slide. I have them losing a couple of their games. Oregon, again, they continue the high-tempo offense. They continue to run the ball well. They obviously don't have Mariota anymore, but their other quarterback is an option style. They should do okay. Baylor, again, the team, if they keep the high tempo, they should be fine. Not really aware as to who their backup is. Alabama's always in the top. Expect them to rise. Also because all the coaches and anybody who does any rankings ever kind of likes to suck their dick a little bit. So even if they lose a game by complete blowout, they'll only fall one spot. While Notre Dame can blow somebody out and only gain one. TCU. TCU still has an explosive quarterback, still has a good run game, great defense, and a strong receiving core. So I think TCU will probably remain in the top 5. They may slide around a little bit because the coaches and all the other people who vote don't really like them. Don't know why. And, of course, as I said, Ohio State, which will remain number 1 and win the BCS. You flipping around on me, bud? All right. For the first preseason game in the 2015 season, I apologize, 2016 season. I say 15, same fucking thing. 15, 16. There, happy. It'll be on NBC at 8 p.m. this Sunday. It is the Pittsburgh Steelers against the Minnesota Vikings. Pittsburgh is ailing on defense. They have replenished a little bit. You lost your big safety in Polamalu. You lost, I forget what linebacker it is. I can't think of his name right now. And you've, of course, lost, damn it, I can see his face, cornerback. Anyway, you replaced that with Brandon Boykin in a trade. And now, of course, you are going to be playing Minnesota, who has a strong run game, even without Adrian Peterson. A great quarterback in Teddy Bridgewater. They lost. Let me adjust my camera again because I'm going to adjust. You lost Greg Jennings. He went to Miami. In place of that, you got Mike Wallace, a better receiver than Greg Jennings. And, of course, they have a strong defense, as I already said. I think their corner position's what's lacking a little bit. And slightly in the secondary, again, you have another guy. I can't think of his name, but I can see his face. Their safety's strong, good safety. You have a decent free safety, also patrolling the backfield. But I feel your corners, you're lacking a little bit. Other than that, the Vikings should be fine. I have the Vikings beating the Steelers in the first game. It's considered the Hall of Fame game. It's at Fawcett Stadium. I truly feel the Vikings should be able to pull this out. Of course, they're going to be playing backups and third strings and etc. But I don't think the Pittsburgh Steelers have as much depth as the Vikings do. The Vikings are on the rise. I'd be keeping an eye out for Minnesota, as I clearly did actually on my fantasy team, who I might read off to you guys eventually. Right now, as you can see, paying attention to the dog. Like I said, the health scare freaked us out. This is pretty much what I'm going to be doing for the foreseeable future. Well, I mean, for the next couple weeks anyway. Just spending time with Bernie here. Making sure everything's okay. Keeping an eye on him. I got to help him walk up and down stairs. He's not eating, so we're giving him a pill to help him do that. He's diabetic, so you have to give him insulin. Other than that, that's pretty much it. So if I don't upload a podcast within the next week or two, that's why. I'm very busy keeping an eye on my dog. And doing this from the floor was a very bad decision. I should have done this somewhere else. My neck is starting to hurt. I'm sure you guys are sick of me not being able to come up with answers of things and stuff. And how shitty this podcast was. I just thought I'd fire one off because I haven't been on in a while. As always, thanks to Joe Rogan. He gave me the inspiration to even attempt doing this. Please listen to his podcast on Ustream and on iTunes, the JRE Joe Rogan Experience. It's also on YouTube. I'd also like to give a huge thank you out to Zions, the only drink I drink. I always put you in the beginning. I'm not sponsored by either of these companies. Thanks, guys. You have yourselves a wonderful day. And Windows 10 is not that great, by the way. I liked 8 better.